Hello again, it's Paul Feuerstein. And as I said before, the fun I have now is seeing people who I miss. I see these people all the time. And a good friend, David Block. David, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
David, I haven't seen you since the Chicago Midwinter meeting. We met at the lab show, actually.
Exactly.
And let me just tell you a little bit about David. David is a very, very high-end dental laboratory in Universal City, California. The dentist to the stars, the dental technician to the stars. Quite a lot of very high-end cosmetic practice over there, and has clients all over the world, basically.
Right.
And David, how busy are you right now?
Well, that seems to be the most common question that I get these days. And interestingly enough, we're averaging a few units coming in per day. And obviously these units are, I'm assuming, predicated on the premises that doctors are seeing patients on an emergency basis. So in reference to your question, I've got a skeleton crew intact. Unfortunately, I've had to temporarily lay off a lot of technicians that have worked for me for an excess of 20 years, which is not something that I wanted to do, but based on the fact that there just is not the, volume of work that we're used to coming in, we're dealing with it as the best we possibly can. So
you've, in the last couple of years, you've had to make a major investment in the laboratory to become digital. So talk about that for a second. I mean, what for a small lab? I mean, you're not a tiny laboratory, but for a small laboratory, what do you have to do?
Spend a lot of money. That's pretty much what it boils down to. Yes, you're absolutely right about that, Paul. I had to make a decision about 4 years ago to transition from analog to digital because, as you know, that's the new world order. And I was very reluctant to do it. But, when you have technicians that have worked for you for a lot of years, they're not about ready to hang it up. I had to make a decision. And that decision was to either stick to the old analog world or transition into the new digital world. And actually, I'm glad that I did because I do have my 2 daughters working for me and they're pretty much running the digital side of things. And I'm very grateful to that because I am not a digital person. I'm an analog guy.
Always ask a kid if you don't know what to do.
Yeah. But the learning curve was probably the most difficult part about the whole thing. Purchasing the equipment obviously is very expensive, but the learning how to operate and, deal with all the new toys that are out there, that was a little bit of a game changer from my standpoint of view. But you know what, Paul? I have no regrets. I'm actually glad that I did it.
I have a loaded question for you, but here you are, you made this major investment, you're a top-end laboratory, you have decent fees that you charge to the clients, the dentists, and now you have competition from overseas for crowns that cost like $40.
Right.
So how do you respond to that? I say, David, I'm not paying you $100. I can get the thing for $40.
Okay. Actually, that's a good question. And to me, it's actually twofold as far as the answer is concerned. Number one, I am addressing the cost containment issues that all doctors are dealing with, even prior to this, epidemic that we're dealing with, and obviously now transitioning into, the new world order. Once a doctor realizes that I have a 2-tier system intact, okay, in other words, I could accommodate those, inexpensive crowns. I could also accommodate the doctors that want to transition into the old feldspathic crowns that, we did a lot of, in days gone by. And I think eventually, and especially these days with the new world order that is now being set in place, I think a lot of doctors are realizing that they're going to come back to a totally different practice than they had previously. And it boils down to one thing. Do you want to work smarter or do you want to work harder? And to me, I truly believe that the optimum aesthetic material are still out there. But I've been in this business for 50 years, and I can certainly see the difference between crowns that are coming in from overseas versus crowns, that are done the old traditional way. And I'm talking about, layered feldspathic porcelain. Now, I've been in this business close to 50 years already, and there's still, and as you know, Paul, there's nothing out there that comes to as close as a material like that, which truly has the opalescence, all the characteristics of porcelain that make you as a doctor look like a superstar to your patients. So I really believe that that is a major point that has to be addressed these days. Do you go one way or do you go the other way? And to me, I'm actually addressing it in both ways.
Well, one
So,
of the things that your lab is literally famous for is the beautiful veneer work that you do. I mean, you've made a name for yourself as we're not going to get into people's names, but a lot of the hot shots are taking, sending their work to you, and a lot of things. People are walking around with your smiles.
right.
As dentistry is hitting this new turn, how's the cosmetic dentistry going to be? From my standpoint as a practitioner, is it going to be where it was? It was getting better. Is it going to tank because nobody has any money? Are the doctors going to be able to afford to pay the fees for this? Are the patients going to be able to afford? What do you see in your crystal ball here?
Well, as I mentioned to you, we're still getting cases in. And what I find rather interesting is that, yes, we're getting the single posterior crowns, but I'm still averaging probably about 3 cases a week, which is nothing in comparison to what I used to get, of 6 to 8 units of whether it be veneers, okay, or something that would be classified as a cosmetic type of case. So again, it boils down to what I was saying earlier, that I really believe that if a doctor personifies the image that they are the best at what they do, there's still people out there that are willing to pay, the difference in cost for something that is the optimum aesthetic material out there. Now, granted, that market is shrinking, but to me, I want to educate and teach doctors that that is a feasible way of, let's just say, trying to get out of this hole that we're all into right now. And maybe, with that intact, they or we will sustain this without too much collateral damage, let's just say.
I'm just curious, are you finding, obviously you're working nationally, and is there a difference in what's happening as we speak in different parts of the country that you're seeing from a dental standpoint?
Well, I think, for example, like the state of Arkansas, I don't think they were shut down like other parts of the country. So I'm seeing more cases coming in from, let's just say, the deep South, Mississippi, and places like that. But, the onesie, twosie type of cases, I see them coming in from all over the place. And I guess there are patients out there that still insist on getting cosmetic work done, even though that doesn't classify itself as an emergency procedure. So I get a little bit of a mixed bag coming in from all over the place as far as that's concerned.
Now, you don't have to be too honest, but I'm just curious. Now, here you are. I have a dental office. I owe you a couple of $1,000s in my lab bill, and I'm going to call you up and say, David, I need a favor. Are you getting that?
Yes, more often than I would like to admit. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking of changing the laboratory's name to Aesthetic Bank, okay, because I know that I will be carrying quite a few clients. And these are clients that I've worked with for over 20 years, Paul. And, we're all dealing with issues, and everybody's got to bend a little bit as far as that's concerned. So in reference to your question, yes, I'm certainly dealing with that. And unfortunately, waiting for money from the government, and we've all applied for these loans. That's a disaster in itself, because I did get an approval about a week and a half ago, but to be very honest with you, I haven't gotten 10 cents in as of yet. So,
and like you said, you had to lay off some people that have been working with you forever, and I mean, I know you personally very well, and I know how you operate with the people that work with you, and it's a family. It's like, it's like throwing your cousin out the door.
Yeah, no, that was probably the most difficult thing for me to do, is just to lay people off, okay, on the premises that I don't have any work coming in for them. Now, granted, quite a few of them I helped financially just to sustain all this, so they could feel comfortable knowing that I want them back, and I do want them back. But it's all, again, predicated on the fact that we need cases coming in from guys like yourself and other individuals out there, and hopefully that'll happen sooner than later. But I'm strong enough where I could weather this storm.
And one little odd question is now with the COVID and the way it hangs around forever, are you doing something different when the cases actually physically come into the lab?
I mean, we normally disinfected every impression tray, every impression, they came into the laboratory. Now
Assuming, let me interrupt you. If it were digital, there was nothing to disinfect, is there?
exactly. I was just going to bring that up. Okay. Where I'm loving more the digital side of things because exactly what you just said. We don't have to deal with that. So there's another advantage of transitioning from analog to digital is that we don't have to deal with the disinfection process that we're currently dealing with.
So a lot of people will be watching us on this little conversation. I didn't have a chance to explain what the laboratory, the name of the laboratory, where you are. And so tell us a little about the laboratory, how to get in touch with you, the website, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. So the name of the laboratory is Aesthetic Porcelain Studios. The website is www.aesthetic with an A-E-S, T-H-E-T-I-C, porcelain.com. If you have any questions, certainly feel free to call the office at 1-800-544-9605. I've actually even gotten to the point just to make people feel better. I give out my personal cell phone number, and I'd be more than happy to do that if you're okay with that, Paul.
Sure.
That's 213-926-9047. That's my personal cell phone number. It'll come to me. I'm more than happy to take whatever anxiety that you have inside of you and make you feel better about what we're all dealing with at this point.
And your email is david@aestheticporcelain.
That is correct. Exactly.
Just to let you know, everybody, when you get cases back from dental labs, you sort of shaking you sometimes, I hope this whole thing fits. I hope it looks good. And David, and we've worked together for many, many years.
Yeah. And
boy, it's one of those, these are the kind of cases that you say, wow, they just dropped right in, and the patient smiled and thanked you and hugged you with, no more hugging, no more hugging.
That's right. Paul, one thing that really does truly concern me is the fact that with this coronavirus that's going on, even prior to this, there was a major shakeup in the laboratory industry, as you know, okay? I kind of suspect now that there's going to be probably about an additional 20 to 30% of laboratories that are going to go out of business. So I would definitely encourage a lot of your listeners, to see if they can get a hold of their laboratories, because a lot of doctors have contacted me because, a lot of doctors in general, they'll use a local laboratory for emergency cases. They're telling me that their local laboratories, which are small 1 and 2 operations, they're not in existence any longer because they just cannot tolerate, the turmoil that we're all dealing with. So that is something that doctors should be tuning into. And certainly if I could help them with that, I'm here. I'm not planning on going anywhere. My job is to service you guys, and certainly creating optimum aesthetic results that you just indicated is something that I'm very passionate about. So
thanks so much, David.
Okay. Thank you, Paul. Take care of yourself. Be well. Bye-bye.